Hello, everyone. I am Jade Ullrich, a clinical dietitian here at KSB Hospital, and thank you for joining me for this nutrition presentation on all about saturated fat. So, what is saturated fat? Saturated fats are fats found mainly in animal products like beef, pork, poultry, dairy products, and eggs, and also tropical oils like coconut and palm oil. And so these are typically solid at room temperature. So think of a stick of butter or the marbling in a steak. These are all solid fats. And remember, from my previous nutrition presentation on label reading basics, I identified what to look for on a food label. So when it comes to saturated fat, you want to aim for saturated fat to be less than 10% of total calories daily. So for a 2,000 calorie diet, this would mean aiming for less than 22 grams of saturated fat daily. So on the nutrition label, under total fat, you see saturated fat. And you can see that this product contains 1 gram of saturated fat, or 5% of the daily value of saturated fat. So why is it important to limit our consumption of saturated fats? Eating too much saturated fat can put you at higher risk for heart disease and stroke. And also, consuming too much saturated fat can make it difficult to achieve a healthy eating pattern without taking in too many calories, which can lead to weight gain. So here are the top sources of saturated fat. The largest source is sandwiches at 19%. Next is desserts and sweets at 11%. Then it's rice, pasta, and other grain-based mixed dishes at 7%. Higher fat milk and yogurt at 6%. Pizza at 5%. Mixed dishes made from meat, poultry, and seafood at 4%. Poultry, excluding deli and mixed dishes, also at 4%. Cheese at 4%. Non-starchy vegetables at 4%. Chips, crackers, and savory snacks at 4%. Eggs at 3%. Meats, excluding deli and mixed dishes, at 3%. Starchy vegetables at 3%. Spreads also at 3%. And lastly, 20% comes from other sources. And so to go into a little more detail, the 19% from sandwiches not only includes what you might typically think of sandwiches like meat and cheese sandwiches or peanut butter and jelly, but also includes burritos, tacos, breakfast sandwiches, burgers, and hot dogs. And so you can see there are a lot of sources of saturated fat in the diet. All right, here are some tips for cutting back on saturated fat. So one thing you could do is reduce your intake of desserts and sweets by eating smaller portion sizes and eating these foods less often. You can also choose lower fat forms of foods and beverages, such as choosing fat-free or 1% milk over 2% or whole milk, or choosing lean rather than fatty cuts of meats, or choosing poultry without the skin. You can also replace some of the meat you eat with beans, legumes, or fish. You can also try cooking with oils rather than butter, shortening, or coconut or palm oils. And so these oils include canola, corn, olive, peanut, safflower, soybean, and sunflower oil. Vegetable oil is also a combination of many of these oils, so this is also a good choice. And some specialty oils like avocado, grapeseed, rice bran, and sesame can also be healthy choices, but may cost more or be harder to find. And one more tip is to compare food labels and choose products lower in saturated fat. So I also have a few tips for cooking with healthy oils. So you can usually use cooking oil just like solid cooking fats. For example, you can make your own salad dressings, marinades, dips, and sauces. You can grill, saute, stir fry, bake, or roast foods. You can use it to coat pans to keep food from sticking. You can spread or drizzle it on foods for flavor. You can also season your cast iron cookware with it. And you can also substitute it for butter, margarine, or solid fats in recipes. So thank you so much for joining me for this presentation. I hope you learned a little bit more about what saturated fat is, how it impacts your health, sources of saturated fat in the diet, and tips for cutting back on saturated fat. Thank you and have a good night.